Hi, in this episode we're going to talk about string samples. There are so many string samples and no string sample does it all. Each one has a great thing that they bring to the table. For example, if you're a drummer, you typically have more than one cymbal. You have multiple cymbals to choose from because they have different resonant properties and they sound great for certain sounds. The same thing applies to libraries, especially with strings. Over the years, I've gotten quite a few different string sound libraries that I pull from for different projects. The first real string sound library that I got was the East-West package. I got, it was the gold package, I think. I remember specifically using the Flautando patch, and I also used the solo string sounds for cello, viola, violin, and contrabass. So I wanted to share what those sounds sound like in an actual score. Check it out. So the next sound library I want to talk about that I use quite a bit is the Spitfire audio sound libraries. They have a slew of them. It's kind of ridiculous how many they have. But the one that I got was just the chamber strings. I started using them in my project a couple years ago, and I really love how they sound. The spiccato especially, as well as the flautando, sound great. There's a film that I worked on last year that pretty much only used the Spitfire audio ensemble strings for this whole section of this film. I want you to check it out, see what it sounds like in context. And now finally, solo strings. I really love Spitfire and East-West. They have great kind of solo string sounds, but I really love the audio modeling software. It uses MPE technology where you can essentially play a note and move your fingers to control different parameters of touch and how that affects the string sound. It doesn't do ensemble well because it only plays one instrument at a time and it takes a lot of CPU to control that, but I like it because it's very expressive. And I wanted to show what that sounds like in a project, so check it out. Lastly, I want to talk about different types of string samples that are not traditional string sounds. I love the Output Analog Strings plugin. I like it because it's a sampled string sound, but it's from an approach of a synthesizer. So it's got different voices you can control and manipulate, mess with filters. So it's kind of a hybrid string VST sound thing. It's just a really musical VST that I really enjoy. In a real world context, I typically use lots of string sounds all together. So if I have solo string sounds that work really well, I'll use those, but I'll also have ensemble strings underneath that to help support it. I put a link in the description to the different types of sound libraries that I talked about today. Like I said, there's a myriad of different string libraries that you can choose from. I've also heard great things about cinematic scoring strings and cinesamples, but the ones that I've chosen, like I said, are not like the end-all be-all, but they're ones that I find that work great for my voice and helps me tell stories musically to film. Next week, we're going to take a look at different ways to make eerie sounds with synthesizers and how to use those in your film scores to help create mood and texture and atmosphere for a scene. But until then, please subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you all next week.